Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Start the class with two questions that Carl asked last night. Everybody was very tired, so I didn't want to delve into it, but he asked two very significant questions, right? So I was thinking about it all morning as to how I can answer these questions, okay? And I hope I can contribute to your clarity. If you didn't already got it last night, but I do want you to think about it, right? In a little bit, give some thought to it. The first question, as I understood, is that he was asking, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was asking that is this avidya, which is ignorance, is it manifest or not manifest? It is, right? Because that's why I don't know. Right? So therefore, then he was saying, if it is manifest, then, right, your ignorance is manifest, your ignorance is manifest, my ignorance is manifest, your ignorance is manifest, then there must be what? The total ignorance, right? Which is what? Manifest, exactly. Right? So now, can you attribute it to all knowledge then? Can you then make all knowledge, all ignorance? Right? Exactly. So that means, what is it? Why is it on one hand, right, there is this, you're true, I mean, there is something called your ignorance, which is very specific ignorance, right? You may know music, I don't know music. You may know chemistry, I don't know chemistry. So that means we all have ignorance in different parts and in different degrees about different things. Right? So now, can you then say all knowledge has all these ignorance? Because
we have to see
all knowledge, it is what? The samashti. Samashti means the total. Okay? So that means the all knowledge now will become what? Ignorance of everyone. Yeah. So is it true? No, it's not possible. So what is it? It is like, I'll give you a clue. Okay, you can find the answer yourself. Because I did discuss, this question is very much equal to asking a question, I'm suffering, my suffering is manifest or not?
Yes.
Yes. You're suffering in some degrees for one reason or the other. Okay? This all knowledge, which is Ishvara, is what? Total suffering. We already discussed this question. You remember? Otherwise, all, if Ishvara is all, Ishvara suffering becomes what? Huge compounded suffering. Right? So that's not possible. So how did we resolve that?
I was thinking that since Ishvara is in everything, so it can be in our suffering or is it again detached? You know, like Ishvara is found in every tangible thing or even untangible thing?
Intangible things. Like everything, no? When we say everything, yes, it includes everything. Right? Exactly. Physical.
But Ishvara is not suffering.
Exactly. Why?
Because it has the presence of all.
Because it is observing, no.
Only manifested it and not.
Because Ishvara is not dependent on us.
Because Ishvara is like butter in water. There is water around, but butter is not around.
Okay. Now, in this particular analogy that you are giving, there are two things. One is butter and the other one is water, and two things are different. Right? So now, what is the vision of Vedanta?
Everything is
Oneness.
Everything is one. Right? So that means you can't have two things. Right? In this analogy, there are two things. One is not affected by the other.
What about the wave and the ocean?
Excellent. Wave and the ocean, and or wave and the
Water.
so can you wave and the ocean too. Okay,
The ocean.
correct, exactly.
The
Because this is
waves are the
Ishvara.
suffering
Yes,
people,
yes,
or the ignorant people around.
yes,
And the ocean encompasses all the waves. Now the ocean, it is there in the waves, but the ocean remains the ocean.
okay. Very, very good.
Ocean is not the wave.
Yeah, exactly. Ocean doesn't suffer from smallness of wave, right?
And all water is not waves either, so the ocean has water, but it's not okay, so there's no suffering and unsuffering.
Correct. Neeru, you want to attempt?
I think we are suffering because of our ignorance. And the Ishvara has already, so obviously Ishvara has already manifested, and the ignorance lies at the Jiva level, not at the Ishvara level.
Excellent.
So it has manifested, but on its own, it is not suffering. We are suffering because of that veil.
Excellent.
So therefore, ignorance is manifested.
But Ishvara is not subject to ignorance. That's what
Subject
I'm
to
saying.
it. Because of the veil, because we are suffering at the jiva level.
That is correct. Your answer is right. Now, let us see a little bit more scientifically, like in a way that which is step by step. Okay? So, I have, let's say, this emotion of what? Sadness. Okay? So that means there is suffering as far as I am concerned, as far as my experience is concerned, and this is what Neeru is saying, that there is a suffering at the jiva level, okay? Because it is happening. Now, what did I say Ishvara was?
All knowledge.
The all knowledge which is manifesting how? It is manifesting as what? Atoms. We are combined, which are combined together, okay, to become what? Cells. Cells which are referring to brain, they are what? Neurons. Okay. Now, the neurons come together in a particular combination along with what? The chemical, electrical wiring, and all that coming together produces what? The sensation of what? Sadness. Right? So now, what is Ishvara? Can you attribute this sadness to neurons? Neurons is already free. Ishvara is what? Making the neurons what? Combine, right? The same neurons are combining in your mind differently at every different time to produce different emotions. Okay? So Ishvara is that intelligence which says, okay, my God, as Surya was explaining yesterday, what? I will combine these two neurons and what will happen? There will be a sensation called sadness. And then I will combine these group of neurons and then it will be which experience? Happiness. Exactly. So that means, what is Ishvara? Is that intelligence which brings together, okay, different neurons along with what? The chemical connections, electrical wiring connections, and puts it all together, which makes individual experience that emotion of, let's say, sadness. Okay? But Ishvara is what? That all knowledge which in the first place produces those neurons as a result of all these different combinations of atoms putting together atoms and cells and whatever, and then those neurons constantly it is combining differently to keep on giving you different experiences. Can you attribute to this all knowledge sadness? No. Right? So while you, from your standpoint, there is sadness, from Ishvara's standpoint is what? It's just nothing but knowledge, right? Which through certain laws, series of laws, anatomy, karma, genetics, brain, all these different laws combined together to give you that result, which is what? Your karma phala for that given point in time.
You have a choice to be sad or happy in that situation. You have a choice, right?
No, because the emotion happens, right? The emotion has already happened. You have a choice with reference to how to respond to that emotion, right? You have a choice. Either you are sad and then you think another thing and you think another thing and you go to depression, or you can say, yeah, this thought has come, but I need not get totally engaged by it, right? And question the validity of that thought and move on, right? That choice you have. So therefore, you must understand, while there is emotion happening from your standpoint, okay, from the standpoint of Ishvara, it is all just nothing but intelligence which makes it happen for you, combining all the different laws. It's free from that. Okay? That you must understand. And the same thing applies to what? Ignorance. Okay? Because we all have ignorance, but which ignorance? She does not have ignorance with reference to what? Psychology. Okay? I certainly don't know as much as her. Okay? So that means in Ishvara's design, that knowledge of psychology is already there. What does it mean? If you have gone through this experience, you will feel like that. There is a cause and effect relationship. This is what we call psychological laws. Now she has applied herself, right, to have access to Ishvara, that all knowledge in form of what? Psychological laws. So she has engaged herself and she has removed her ignorance with reference to how the laws of psychology work. She has used your free will, right, to remove that knowledge. From the standpoint of Ishvara, already those laws were operating. Before she knew, already people were feeling bad because of what? Some causes. What she has chosen to do? To learn how that works. Okay? From standpoint of Ishvara, there is knowledge, okay, which is combining different cause and effect to give you different experiences. From her standpoint, what she has done, she has removed the veil with reference to that given order, how it works, right? So that she is in touch with what? Ishvara from the standpoint of psychological laws. Okay? But the Ishvara psychological laws have so much information, right, that her buddhi cannot capture all of that. That's why at no given point in time, when you look into the universe and to try to understand in totality, you don't, because human mind cannot totally remove ignorance as far as what? The mithya world is concerned, because the all knowledge requires from now connecting to what? Big Bang and then what? Cycles of creation. That nobody has. Okay, but still she can capture. Similarly, when a physicist looks into what? The galaxy, the astrophysicist. Okay, Ishvara has already what? Made those galaxies. Okay, now a physicist requires years and years and years of mathematics and a lot of science to then understand how the planets work. Is Ishvara ignorant? The knowledge of Ishvara has already made those galaxies what they are. It doesn't wait for your knowledge. Okay? What are you doing? You're using your free will to look at those laws which are what? One of the manifestation of that all knowledge. And what are you doing? You're applying yourself so that you remove ignorance with reference to that. Okay? So from your standpoint, there is ignorance. From the standpoint of Ishvara, there is what? Knowledge, but it is covered for you. The avidya is for you, and you are given the potential to remove that avidya. And to just know what is Ishvara. Now when you come to this knowledge, it's exactly the same. Okay?
Question.
Yes.
Then how did ignorance start it?
This is what I said, that in that there is all knowledge and all power which has the capacity to manifest. Okay? And within that manifest capacity, which is what we call Vikshepa Shakti, there is also Avarana Shakti. Okay? So that means from if it was just a Vikshepa Shakti, all knowledge would manifest as everything, and every object will know that all that is here is all knowledge. But we don't know that. So that means that from the standpoint of one given form, this reality is covered. That's why we all think, what? I am this little individual. Right? And what do I think? The world is something other than me. Then I think God is, like I think Neelu was saying last night, that the orientation that God is some other entity than me is so strong. So even if you keep on telling that hey, all that is here is Ishvara, and you can repeat that, but you still behave like Ishvara is an external entity. Right? So that means you are born with ignorance. Okay? How does that ignorance come? It is the Shakti of Ishvara. Shakti of Ishvara in the sense that the manifestation comes about, but each individual entity in that manifestation does not know the reality. Okay? But if you were left with your ignorance, then what? You are so-called doomed. Okay? But if you are given ignorance, but you are also given the capacity to remove it, then it is interesting. Okay? Because now you can use your free will, okay, to either partially remove your ignorance, which is what we do, right? When we study physics, when we study biology, when we study medicine, when we study economics, we study so many different things, art, culture, whatever, right? We do remove ignorance. And what kind of ignorance it is? It is one insight into that all knowledge. Okay? But you also have the capacity to remove total knowledge about the all knowledge, okay? And to know your identity with it. That also is a possibility. So then, now you are, there is a very nice imagery in Mandukya Upanishad. Okay? There is a person who is blindfolded, okay, and dropped in the forest, and he is from Gandhara Nagari, and he has to figure out how to get there. Okay, so now he has no idea because his eyes are all blinded. Okay, so therefore, what he makes the first step. He goes, and then what happens? He meets somebody, and he says, "Where is this Gandhara Nagari?" So they say, okay, now Gandhara Nagari is too far, but you just go here first. And then you ask the next person. Okay. Then you go there, and then you ask. So ultimately, what happens? The person reaches, because what? At every given point in time, the person uses one's own effort, and then is also helped in the process. Okay. Exactly the same. You land on this earth, not knowing who you are, not knowing what the world is about, okay, but you can, that Gandhara, which is what? Your true nature, that is given to you as a possibility. Okay? Then what do? You first identify, because along with that possibility are also given other possibilities. What are the other possibilities? My money, my power, my pleasures, all these everything is given as a possibility. My vacations, my good times, everything is given as a possibility. First, what do you need to do? Step by step, exactly. First, obviously everybody engages in some pleasures and some education and everybody has to do it, right? Nobody can be free from it. Then slowly what happens? You realize that, hey, all these are lovely. They give me pleasure, but they are not really giving me what I am looking for. Next step. They are not giving me what I am looking for. Now what do? I have to search for something else. What is that something else? Somebody runs to what? Meditation retreat, somebody runs to cleansing retreat, third one runs to silence retreat, the fourth one runs. They run everywhere searching for that other thing which will give satisfaction. Now you have to use another step, which is a very, very important step. And the logic of the step is, if I am limited, then no matter what I acquire, which itself is limited, cannot find me freedom from limitation. So whether it is in my normal pursuits of money, right, or power, or vacation, or my so-called spiritual pursuit, which starts with the starting point is I am limited and I have to do something for my freedom, is something what is never going to give me the result. Huge. You are using what? You are using your buddhi to figure it all out. Then you say the only possible solution is what? That I am free. My God, if I am free, then why am I feeling so bound? And not only bound, but I am suffering. Yesterday I was talking to Savita and she was saying that, because she is a psychologist and she sees patients and she says, my God, there is so much suffering in this world. So much. Okay? People are so caught by that little world, okay? And within that, they just cannot escape all the traumas that one has to go through. Okay? So this is where you have to now say that, hey, this suffering itself is what? Something which is what? Because of my ignorance. So therefore, let me remove that ignorance about myself. Because this is the only possibility. There is no other possibility. If I am really limited, then I am subject to suffering. I can't do anything about it. Okay? But the very fact that behind all my pursuits, my real search is for freedom, shows that there has to be a solution to that. Then I come to the teaching, okay, I want to now remove my ignorance and I want to know myself. Where will you go? What will you do?
So even given that knowledge is limitless almost, even for what the human brain can comprehend, let's say a scholar of any science can take their knowledge to the ultimate degree, but it's of no relevance, or at least partial relevance,
It's
until they have come to this core knowledge. So amongst all knowledge worth acquiring, you would say this is the most significant of all.
Absolutely right. Because it is like, absolutely, because it is like we all going, and the blind people going and touching different parts of elephant, okay? And they all know different parts and they are not wrong, right? But they don't have the totality. Okay? So that means once you have totality, it is not opposed to partial.
Right.
Right? within the totality, every part fits. And every part is legitimate. Right? We are not saying it's useless. But until you have this, it's incomplete. It is never going to be complete.
Can I make two observations on ignorance which just occurred to me actually while you were talking? One is that if we did not have the ignorance or the veil of life, there would be no game in life. What would we all do? Suppose we were born we would all say, but we all know it, there would be no game in life. That is one. So actually in a way.
There's something to solve which is an amazing puzzle.
So
right?
the second thought that came to me is because we have this veil, actually think of it, each person's pursuit in life or whatever they are studying is unraveling all knowledge, all power. Medicine, what are they doing? I'm studying the nose. Who made the nose?
Exactly.
So all of us are sitting and studying the nose. How was it made? How can I cure it? How can I elongate it, shorten it? So what are we doing? They actually do have that veil, but maybe freedom and that thought may be too far, but at every level, we are just studying what all knowledge has already created. We are just copying him and unraveling at every little thing. So we are actually already in that game.
Absolutely.
Of unraveling.
Yes.
So whether it's a doctor or a scientist sitting with a telescope, what is the star made up of? Spending his entire life studying the moon, generations. Or whether it is an artist. What is he doing? This tree, he wants to take it and capture it on his canvas. There's nothing original. All knowledge has already made those flowers, those trees, that human form. Sculptures are sitting and sculpting the human form. So we are just recreating, doing, capturing, trying to copy, trying to do what all knowledge has already created and put a veil on us. Now go on. Carry on.
Superb, Niru.
We're talking and I said, all we are doing is at physical, subtle, causal level, all we are doing is unraveling.
Exactly.
Trying to find out how this was made and where does it come from.
Absolutely.
So the maker and the material.
Yes.
And the irony is that we think, and for years and years, for eons, man has been trying to figure out, right? Science has been studying, and we think we're so advanced. But man thinks I'm so brilliant, I'm getting the one concept, and yet we will never, ever, ever get it all. But we live in our egos of believing we're so intelligent.
Exactly. Right?
And for generations we haven't figured out how the human body works or what it does,
Exactly.
why we have diseases.
So the only two things is all knowledge and ignorance.
Yeah. All knowledge
That's
and all
the game.
power which is manifesting, and then there is ignorance. And you
That's
need to,
all.
and you're given the potential also
To find it.
to remove ignorance.
But that's the only thing we have.
You do it partially or what? The full thing.
That's the only third thing we have, that
Yes.
curiosity to find out and what is this? What is
Exactly.
this wall made of,
Yes.
tile made of, where did this come
Absolutely.
from?
Absolutely.
Little rats coming through that, trying to figure it out.
And
in some societies we build buildings with bricks, in others they build with earth. So we are always kind of constructors, or no? May I say that?
Yeah, we are also, you're right, that there are possibilities which are given to us, right? We also are endowed with what? 3 Shaktis. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti. Right? Ichha Shakti we saw is what? Capacity to desire. I think we missed evening class, that's why you don't know it. Right? Then the capacity to act and then capacity to know. We are also given all 3. And all 3 are necessary. Right? What Niru is saying is absolutely right, right? And in fact, the next verse of Bhagavad Gita says exactly what you are saying. And he says, you think that only when you come to moksha you are on my path? Not at all. No matter what you are doing, you are on my path, because you can never be away from my path. Right? Artha as a possibility is given to you because it's part of Ishvara's arrangement. Kama is given to you as a possibility because it is Ishvara's arrangement. Right? Dharma is given to you as a possibility because it is Ishvara's arrangement. No matter what you are doing, don't think only when you are in moksha, pursuing moksha, you are pursuing me. Right? In moksha, you are pursuing me what? Entirely. In other things, you are pursuing me what? From a standpoint, partially. That is the only difference. But nobody is not on my path because everything, the pursuer, the objects of pursuit, the possibility of pursuits, the entire thing exists within Ishvara.
So basically all we are doing is crawling back to him.
Exactly. Either partially or fully. If you are for
That's all
moksha,
we
you
are
understand exactly.
As we are born, like
Yes.
a jiva,
Yes.
we are thrown
Yes.
at a distance.
Yes.
That's the separation.
Yes.
And the entire mind is given that thing that we have to find the maker and the material. And the whole world is occupied with that at various
levels. Absolutely.
Through that feeling of inadequacy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
What
Ignorance.
induces us to search for answers?
Inadequate
Exactly,
soul
because
and
that
then-
inadequacy. Absolutely. So that means that inadequacy, can I say it's bad? No. Because it is helping you to what? Go in your search. You will not stop until you get it. This is how the whole world is designed. You
Which
can't
is what
stop.
she said is the journey of life.
That is what
So we are
Preeti
like
said
all
is
trying to
the
crawl
journey.
back.
And that's why we have contrast in our life. It's only when
Yeah.
you experience a negative experience, you know what you want to go towards.
Okay. Now, just one small thing, then we'll move to the second question of Karl, which is equally important that you must understand. Right. Now, just a small story. Right. My teacher used to say, imagine you go and see a movie, okay, and then you have these two very beautiful people who are very rich, right? And they meet, and one is a physicist and the other one is kind of a medical doctor, neuroscientist or whatever, right? And both of them get married, okay? And then they have really beautiful children, okay? And one is like an amazing artist and the other one is an amazing musician and they are world famous, right? And they get more money. And then they themselves find some amazingly beautiful husband, right? And the wife or whatever. And the whole thing is like one brilliant thing after the other. He says, who will go and watch this movie? This is boring. This is absolutely boring. You need some, my God, you have some difficulties and you're looking, you need drama, right? This life is a drama, okay? And that drama keeps fooling you.
And keeps you engaged.
And keeps you so
At the
engaged.
superficial level, keeps you
And
so
you think
engaged
that you're so busy.
that you forget.
Exactly. Right? So this is an amazing trick of Ishvara. That our Swamiji says that it is a bluff. The whole creation is a bluff of Ishvara. It lasts until what? You inquire into it and negate it. That's the only thing. Right? And discover what? You and Ishvara are not separate. Okay. So this is the greatest challenge to human mind. You're given and you're given all the clues to figure it out. You're given what? Vedas, they come from where? Ishvara. That's why somebody was asking, what does Apaurushaya mean? Where does it come from? It comes from Ishvara. This knowledge comes from Ishvara. So right now, when you are studying Veda, don't think that Neema is the author of this knowledge or Swami Dayananda is the author of this knowledge. None of us are author of this knowledge. It is Ishvara. Through this teacher-student parampara is what? Making it possible for you to have this knowledge. Okay? So that means Vedas are given by Ishvara. The teachers, the students' capacity to understand totally what is being said is also given by what? Ishvara. Then the capacity of one-time student to become a teacher is given by what? Ishvara. Ishvara all the way. There is no Advaita Vedanta. Many people ask with very egoistic thing. When you are studying Vedanta, you think you are the whole. Why do you need Ishvara? This question comes from so much ignorance. Okay. The very fact that you are asking this question is what? There is the possibility of asking that question is given by what? Ishvara is sitting. One day I loved Savita. Ishvara is sitting and laughing. Look at this. Watching the shows. To what extent a human ignorance can go and laugh? Wow, my creation is amazing. People are so fooled. Even when they come to Vedanta, they are so fooled.
Even when they are almost there.
And they think they are almost there, but they are so away. Because there is no Vedanta without Ishvara. Whole body of knowledge is what? From Ishvara. The capacity of human mind to grasp it totally is given by Ishvara. Having grasped it, to transfer it to somebody else is given by Ishvara. You need Ishvara's grace all the way, all the way. And this is why you can be like Adi Shankaracharya was the biggest. I mean, his commentaries are absolutely brilliant, and he talks about what? Non-duality. And you have this Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate. Right? Adi Shankaracharya. There is no contradiction. Because he understands. Okay? Vedanta is an equation between two, you and Ishvara. Okay? And both happen to resolve in one reality. But you need Ishvara's grace, because that veil is created by what? It's Ishvara's Maya Shakti. And to lift it, you need your effort, but you need what? Grace of Ishvara. You can't fool Ishvara. That's why I say you can't bypass your emotional life and try to what? Reach the final truth. You can't fool Ishvara. So that means step by step, each effort you have to make. In its right, you have to identify and you have to make that effort, and only then what? The doors open up for the next level. Until then, you can listen, but it's all remaining at a vague, superficial level, and then you continue. You continue in both sides, right? You continue listening to this knowledge, which is an amazing knowledge, okay? And you also continue to do what? Make effort for your growth. It's actually really using of one's free will. It's nothing about just going on with whatever comes in life. No. This is the highest, what? The most refined way in which you can use your free will. Now let's move to the next question, because otherwise we'll go on and on and on, right? Now the second thing which he asked, now we are doing this verse, which is that reality is neither antaprajna nor bahishprajna. Antaprajna is what? Neither the subtle nor the physical. The fourth part that we are talking about is neither what? Subtle nor physical nor the causal nor what? In between. Right? This is what we saw. Now, what Tal, if I understood him correctly, he asked, and he said, but wait a minute, this physical, is it away from awareness? No. Right? So why said that this awareness is not physical.
It depends on awareness.
Excellent. Wow. Krishna, this is wonderful. Explain to Carl. Wonderful. No, but that's a right answer.
Yeah.
Please explain.
From what Neema has been teaching, what I understand is that, please, I don't like, so I
No, but you try. This is a training because you are thinking right, and that's why I want you to get over this blank going.
Okay, so the question was, the physical body is dependent on Ishvara because Ishvara manifests it as a physical causal karika. But Ishvara has created it, but in no way is he dependent on it at any stage. He's there, he's within it all, but no way dependent on it because he's the creator. Now I don't know.
This is correct. What she is saying is right? So that means what Carl is saying is it's true, right? That the physical body is not separate from awareness. Nothing exists separate from awareness, right? So this is why we say it is mithya. Mithya means it has a dependent reality, and then you go within what? Forms within forms, and where do you end up? At this awareness, right? So that means that the physical body is not separate from awareness, but now the question is awareness taking on any attributes of physical body? That's what he said. Yeah, it's clear? Yeah. Because this is the nature of our problem. That we attribute the attributes of physical body we impute to what? I. But they never touch I. This is what this verse is talking about. Right? So that means whenever there is Satya-Mithya relationship, the relationship is very interesting. Okay? And our teacher used to give one example, which I think is a very interesting example, to show how it is possible. Okay? So what he said, that you go for a play, I live near Prithvi Theatre, so that's where the play comes. Right? So you go for a play and you see a play, okay, where there is a beggar and who's suffering so much, right? And then what happens? You start what? Tears coming in your eyes and say, my God, you are driven by your compassion, and you say, my God, what? There's so much suffering here, right? Now, the person, so there is a beggar that you see, right? And then that beggar creates what? A certain sensation in you, and certain response on your part. But the actor who's playing the role of a beggar, he is getting handsome sum to play the role of a beggar. So what is the relationship? And then after the show, he drives in his Mercedes Benz while you are still wiping your tears.
He acts as a beggar, he is not the beggar.
Excellent, right? So that means the whole trick of Vedanta is B, the beggar is A. There is no beggar without the actor. If you take out the actor, is there a beggar? No. But is A is equal to B? Is actor the beggar? No. He's making a lot of money by acting this out. Okay? So that means the beggar cannot exist without the actor. But while acting it, what actor is what? Free from being the beggar. This is the relationship. B is A, but A is not B. This is contradicting all mathematics, but it is true. The entire being of beggar is entire being of actor, but while being the beggar, actor is always free from being the beggar.
He's empathizing with you.
And he's actually smiling because when he sees tears on the stage, what happens?
My acting is.
We say, my acting is wonderful. See how I'm feeling. Right? So this is exactly the relationship. The physical body is I, because when I keep on disintegrating, where do I come? I finally end up in awareness. First all knowledge and then awareness. Okay? But is awareness at any time affected by the conditions of physical body? At no point in time. That's what makes it free. Okay? So now, when we are talking about the fourth part, which is talking about, okay, this awareness, it says, yes, the physical body is not separate from awareness, but awareness is what? Not taking on at any time the attributes of physical body. Yes?
Yes.
Now you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. The subtle body cannot exist without awareness, okay? But awareness at no point in time takes on the attribute of subtle body. B is A, but A is not B. Okay? Prajnanaghanaha. The causal cannot exist without awareness, but in awareness, there is no trace of any causal. This is why Uddhav, we call it what? Vivarta upadana karana. Without undergoing change, what? It makes everything possible. Awareness. It never takes on the attribute of what? Either the physical or the subtle or the causal, but three cannot exist without it. The mithya depends, as very nicely Rashna explained, the mithya depends upon Satyam for its existence, but Satyam does not depend upon mithya for its
But
existence.
it cannot exist without mithya.
No, the way
All knowledge.
the all knowledge is available to us as what? All forms. Okay? This all knowledge, when I open my eyes, this all knowledge is, how is it available to me? In form of physical universe and subtle universe. Then when I inquire, I find out, my God, if I inquire into the truth of the physical universe, where do I land up? Then I have used my reasoning, I have used my questioning to find out something more than what eyes can read.
And what I'm thinking is that before it manifests itself,
Yes,
Ishvara actually
it's
doesn't need
there.
forms.
Yeah, it doesn't need forms. It's in the potential. It's in the potential.
That's it.
It is there in the potential. Okay, so now you go back and you will understand the verse very well, right? And this is something which is important to understand, otherwise Carl's question was a very valid question, right? Because if you say that physical body is not separate from awareness, but awareness does not take on the attribute of physical body. Okay. So, now we will go faster. Okay, Antaprajna, so subtle body is not separate from awareness, but awareness does not take on any attributes of subtle body. Na Antaprajna. Okay. Na Bahishprajna. The physical body cannot exist without awareness, but awareness, does it at any given point in time take on the attribute of physical body? No. Okay. Na Bahishprajnaha, na Ubhayata Prajna. There are experiences which are what Surya was explaining as in between experiences, right? Between what? Sleep and dream, between dream and waking. There are all these different in between experiences that we can have, okay, which are either natural or what sometimes induced by, you know, some problem in the brain or through some drugs or whatever it is. You create those in-between experiences. They are all within what? Is it away from awareness? It's yet another possibility of awareness. Is awareness ever affected by it? Never. Right? So this is what he says, na ubhayatav prajnam, na prajnanaghanam. What is prajnanaghanam? The causal. Causal where there is no subtle and physical. Okay? The causal cannot exist without awareness. So wherever there is causal, there is awareness. But awareness, while pervading it, does not take on what? The attributes of causal. So it is not also what? Prajnana ghana. Are you following it? Yes? Okay. Then, na prajnam, na aprajnam. Okay. What is this prajnam that we are talking about? You may negate that I am not the physical, subtle, causal body and all the in-between states. But you may still think that I am consciousness which is only specific to only one body. Okay. Even that you are not. Okay. Because the orientation always remains that yes, I am separate from all this, but I am what? Here. And my awareness is what? Different from your awareness. And this is why, even though Chit can be translated as both awareness as well as consciousness, and both are right. Okay? Why do sometimes we prefer, even though we use both, right? We prefer to use word awareness because being conscious is used in a different way in English language. It is something to do with what? Your personal, related to your body and related to your mind and related to your, right? So there is still a connotation of what? Individuality there. So because when Vedanta uses the word consciousness, it does not refer to, right, one little consciousness. It refers to one undivided, exactly, whole. So this is where he says, if after negating all this, if you are still holding on to idea that I am this little consciousness which is away from all of that, you are not even that. Yes? And you are not aprajnam. What is aprajnam? You may also think that after I negate all three, okay, physical, subtle and causal, nothing remains. So please don't conclude that too, because then if you are doing that, what? Along with the bath water, you are throwing away the baby. That is what? What is Vedanta talking about is not nothingness. Please, there is no shunyata here. It is what? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Sat, it is existent. It is awareness. It is limitlessness. We are not talking about void or nothingness. Very different. Okay, so that is, he says, na aprajnam also. Now, how is this reality, how is this awareness, okay, available to you? It is adrushtam. Adrushtam means not available for your perception. Right? Is it available to you as an object? No. How is it available to you? As Surya was explaining in the morning, how is it available to you? As awareness, because of which you objectify everything else. The presence and absence of everything else. The invariable awareness, because of which what? The presence and absence of everything is known. So that means it is not what? Objectified by me. It is because of which I objectify everything else. So that means it is adrushtam avyavaharyam. All the transactions that we have, our pleasure, pain, physical, mental, everything, all this is happening at what level? Physical and subtle. Through causal, right? Because the causal gives you that physical body and that subtle body and that given situation. Okay? So that means all the transactions that happen are within, mostly subtle and physical, as Uddhav is saying, but the connecting link is what? Through causal. Okay? Now all the three, is awareness taking on the attributes of any of the three or all three together? No. It is what we call avyavharya. That cannot take place without awareness, right? Subtle, physical and causal interaction cannot take place without awareness. But awareness is free while all these interactions are taking place. Okay? Avyavharyam. Then he says agrahyam. Can you gain it? That is something that, oh, I want to gain self-knowledge. Okay? Gain means I want to grasp it. Now it is away from it, and then what? I want to grasp it. What is the knowledge? You are already. You don't have to gain anything which is outside you. It is what we call praptasya praptihi. What is the difference between apraptasya praptihi and praptasya praptihi?
What we already have, we don't need to have it. We don't need to work to get it.
Okay, very good. Okay. Sometimes you're right. What you already have, Uddhav is saying, you don't need to get it. Okay? But sometimes you are searching for something that you already have. Like the specs. Right? Imagine there is a Sunday morning and you're reading some very interesting article. Then somebody, your neighbor comes and then you put what? The newspaper on the side and you go from here to there. Okay? You have a nice chat over coffee and whatever. Now the neighbor is gone. Now you want to resume reading your newspaper and you keep searching for your glasses. You search here and you search there and you don't find it anywhere. Okay? Then you call what? Your spouse and said, please help me, I don't know, you must have taken my glasses somewhere while I was chatting, because when you came and gave some tea, you must have taken it away, where is it? And why are you interfering? And let me just be, and all these different things happen. Okay? And while all this is happening, your spouse is looking at you and smiling. Have you finished all this? Yeah, but how come you are so cool when I am actually looking for these glasses? Right? He says, the glasses are. He says, what? The glasses are where? You must have put them somewhere, right? And that's why I can't see it. He says, glasses are already with you. Okay? Praptasya prapti. The minute your spouse shows it to you, you have gained it. But was it ever away from you? It was only away from you because in your awareness, it was, in your understanding, it was away. This is what we call praptasya prapti.
So that is searching for things or looking for knowledge that you already have.
Exactly. Searching for knowledge that you already are. Okay? It is different from right now, I'm not in Badri and I want to what? Go to Badri. I want to reach there, which is not there right now. That is what we call apraptasya prapti, which is not gained, and I have to make an effort to gain it. Okay? After staying in ashram for a long time, now I feel like having pizza. Okay? So now will pizza appear? It's not there right now. You have to either go out or you need to buy ingredients and you have to cook it. That is what we call, then you will gain pizza in form of your consumption. That is what prapti? Apraptasya prapti. It's not there right now. You have to make an effort to get it.
But I know it exists.
Yeah, you know different ingredients, but they are not already put together in form of pizza. So you need to first get those ingredients, you have to perform action, and then you get the object that you are looking for. Okay? But in this case, do you have to do anything? It's already there.
And also the pizza is away and this is never away from you.
Exactly. Right? This is never away from you. And pizza is not even there in a pizza form right now. Either you make it or somebody in the restaurant makes it for you. Yeah, it's unmanifest and it will become manifest. Absolutely. And that potential is given to you, right? To make it right and make it manifest. So, agrahyam means, please don't think that you can never have it. And what it means is you always have it, right? But you keep missing it because what? As Vinu says, the whole trick is, it's all the doing of the way. You always have it, but you are still searching for it. So, agrahyam. Okay. Then, alakshana. Okay. Is it something that I can if it has any attributes, if you want to know, for example, up to now, I didn't know what Ramphal was. Okay? So you ask somebody, and then somebody starts describing to you what Ramphal is. What would they say? That the Ramphal is a little bit, looks like Anjeer. It does have these kind of little seeds that Anjeer fig has, but it has a shape which is slightly different. Okay? And in taste, Anjeer, the fig is sweet, but this is sour. Right? So you give, how are you describing this Ramphal? Through different attributes, through indications. Right? Because as Preeti, I asked Preeti, I said, Preeti, what is Ramphal? She says it's very difficult to describe. It's true. How do you describe the taste of something? Okay? But you still can describe through what he says, through lakshana. Lakshana means you can give some indications which will give some rise, some rise to some kind of a knowledge in the mind of the other person. Right? So that means that indication is done through what? Attributes. Does awareness, does it have any attribute through which you can indicate this object is like that and awareness is an object is like that? Can you say it like that? No. Right? So this is where he says alakshana, because it does not have any attributes. Okay? It is because of which the whole world exists. The whole world has different attributes. Okay? But itself is what?
Attributeless.
Attributeless. And logically, it can only be that, right? Because if awareness has one attribute, it cannot have the other attribute. In order to manifest as all attribute, intrinsically, it has to be free from all attributes. Right? Okay. So that means if I'm intrinsically sad, then I cannot be happy. Or if I'm intrinsically happy, okay, I cannot be sad, because they are opposite. Okay? So in order for me to appear as both happy and sad, I have to be what? Free from both. Then only I can appear as both. Right? Because if I'm one, I'm not the other. And this is the problem with so-called God. Right? If you give only the positive attributes to God, what happens to all these so-called negative? They all get left out. Then you have to do what? Create another entity. Okay? So, but what you can understand is God includes both. Okay? But then you will have another problem. God is all bad. Then you can say God is free from being both good and bad. It gives rise to both, but itself is free from both. Okay. So this is what we say, it is alakshana. It is alakshana because it does not have its attribute-less, as Buddha says, and therefore it appears as all these simultaneous, so many attributes which are conflicting in nature, because it encompasses both and it is free from both. Okay. So alakshanam achintyam. Achintyam is it something which you can Now this is something which is important. Achintya means that when I know any knowledge the way it takes place for a human being, that process through which the knowledge takes place is what we call vritti dhanam. Vritti dhanam means, I think I'll explain, that when I know the tree outside, does the physical tree enter my brain? No. So what happens? My eyes see the tree, okay? Then the eyes send the signal to the mind, okay? And the mind creates what we call a vritti, which is a thought form, okay? And the thought form is what? The tree thought, okay? And then I have the capacity to recognize that tree thought, right? And then I say, this is tree. That is the whole process. Every knowledge takes place through your buddhi. It is processed, it is received through your sense organs, and it is processed in your mind, and what happens in your mind is what is understood by you. Okay? So this is what we call vritti jnana. So that means the tree thought is objectified by me. Now, when I talk about Atma, what do you have to do? You have to use your ears to listen to the words. Right? You have to send it to what? Your brain to process what I am talking about. And you have to create a picture. Right? Huh? But that picture, in the case of tree, it's a very specific thing, right? Tree
is objectifiable and
exactly. The tree is objectifiable. But here you are understanding something which is not objectifiable. It's not an object. Okay? So that means the whole process of knowing is slightly different. Okay? So this is where in every vritti, there are two operations which take place. One is what we call vritti vyakti and the other one is phala vyakti. Okay? What does it mean? One is, there is this, what? The thought takes the form of a tree, okay? And then what? What is there, the ignorance of that goes away. Right? So there are two operations happening. One is what? It is objectifying it, and then what? The ignorance, as a result of that objectification, the ignorance goes. Okay? In the case of Atma, you cannot objectify it as one given object as opposed to something else. Okay? But you what? Because it is self-evident to you, you use the words of Vedanta, and then what? Without objectification, you can do what? Remove the ignorance. Because it is about that I, which is because of which you objectify everything, not available for objectification. That means it can be known, it's the only thing which can be known without objectification. Achintya. Now, the next verses we will do in the next class. Next part we will do in the next class instead. So we will finish this verse and then we will proceed. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om